Welcome to NAMM 2016 and the Big Fish Audio Booth, your leader in virtual instruments. I'm going to be showing you one of our brand new instruments today called Hit Life, and it's part of our KLI series, and this is version KLI 3.0. If you're familiar with KLI, then I've got some amazing things to show you in version 3.0. That demo you just heard, everything came from this one KLI instrument. All the sounds, all the loops, all the drums, keyboards, everything like that, but also all the effects, the reverb, the delays, the compression, all of that from one thing. You can see here in my Pro Tools edit window that I've done a lot of automation when I worked on that arrangement. And I'm going to show you how I did it and show you some of the serious power that comes with KLI. The first thing I'm going to talk about is our time stretching, the way we can change tempos and the way we can change keys while the format of the sound is staying the same, meaning that when we speed up and slow down, the loop doesn't turn into a bunch of mangled garbage. And not only can it do it if, say, hey, I want to type in a new tempo, it actually does it in real time, meaning we can ramp up and we can ramp down. Now this is huge for anyone making music, but I'll talk to some of the TV composers or film composers since loops are such a part of what they do. And of course, if you're doing hip hop or things like that, this particular instrument is for that. But we have all kinds of libraries for this and libraries that are coming, not just hip hop or dance or EDM. We've got rock libraries, we've got Latin libraries. But I'm going to show you how this did. The first thing I'm going to do is take a look at the tempo and the way the tempo works. I'm going to start us here at about bar 19, and I'm going to go from 130 BPM to 140 BPM. It's going to jump to 160 and then ramp back down. So check this part out here. Okay, just ramped up to 140. And if you listen to this 808, it's tuning down and changing keys. And then we're now at 160 BPM from 140, so it was a 20 BPM jump. Now we're going to ramp down. Right, so tempo control, unprecedented. We can go so far with that. Now, let's just talk about the tuning. Because since we're working with loops, many times you're working with loops, if you obviously speed up and slow down, that means the pitch goes with them. You just heard us doing that without any pitch changing whatsoever. But if we want to make a change, I'm just going to go here and I'm going to quickly open this up a little bit. Close all this automation. Okay. This is the main drum loop that you were just hearing. In our instrument here, you'll notice that you can see 8 parts. There's drums, the 808 bass, percussion 1, percussion 2, the bell sound, the synth, plucks, synth lead, and piano. That's 1 to 8, and if I click here, I have 9 to 16. So this kit I've loaded in has 12 parts. Now, new for 3.0, when I hit the effects tab here, each part has all these effects available to it, acting as if they were plugins for that part. So when I go to the 808 basses, guess what? I get that all over again. They are completely discrete and independent. So if I want to take the drums here and play my drums, obviously I can pan the drums, right? I can do that on their own. I can take this piano part and I can do a quick pan over there and I can do a quick pan here and be basic, really simple stuff. But let's get into some really cool things. I'm going to learn that automation. That's now on that knob. That's how quick that was. I control click on any knob. There you, there, and I'm going to do that one there. So now I have panning set up on this keyboard. Seamless, simple. You don't need a Brainiac to plug that in or to be able to type in your automation. So I'm also going to turn into from pan to tuning, and you notice that this knob is still working pan, but not controlling the tuning. Well, I'm going to control click on the tune for the piano so I can tune it. Check out how we can do, just like we did with tempo, watch what we can do with tuning. You'll notice the format of the sound is still the same. Didn't get mangled or garbled. Really, really powerful, and once again, discrete. So if I want to do that with my piano, let's just put that back in the middle for a second so it's in tune. I'm going to do the same control click for my drums here. So, because check out this loop. I can tune the drum loop. I'm just doing really simple kind of goofy things, but you can see where the power of that is. You can turn around and say, great, I've built my track. If you're doing any kind of electronic, you know that most of you do the whole song before the vocalist or the songwriter even gets there. You have the music and everything done. The biggest problem that usually is when your singer comes in and can't sing in that key, because we really should be writing to the key that the singer can sing in. Well, now we can do that. It doesn't matter what loops you're using. We can tune every component in any percentage to where we want it. Okay, that's power. Let's put this back to the middle. But now let's look at these effects. I'm going to take this drum track and do something really cool. I'm going to click on the lo-fi here, and I'm going to turn the lo-fi, change my sample rate, change my bit rate. I'm going really old here for a second. Okay, let me just talk about samples and bit rates. You all know, you've seen plugins, you can do that kind of thing. But if you've been around long enough and you understand how samplers started off, like with the emulator and the EMU2 and the early Rolands, the early Akais, and all the way through, you know that not everything was 44.1 or 48K, and not everything was 16-bit or 24-bit. Some of them were 8-bit when we first started, and they were only 18K. Well, hey, if you have an idea of that, I can say, listen, I want my MPC 60, really, which was 30K, and I want the bits to be at 12 because that's what it was, and I want this to have a certain amount of noise, and I can say, hey, I'm now in that kind of realm. If I want to be working at what an MPC 3000 was at, we know that that is 44, so I can turn that off. We know it's a full 16-bit, I can turn that off, but the noise color is different on an MPC 60. It's actually a much brighter noise. I have control over the volume of that noise, and now I have that kind of tone. So I can get into it on a sample level and say, hey, I want it to emulate this kind of a sampler. But let's go way further. We have low pass filter, high pass filter. We have stereo width. So I'm going to take the spread of these drums. Where I'm making it wider or mono. Right? Let me do that on the piano sound, may show up a little bit easier. I'm going to go to the stereo mode again. Click that. Right? Or mono. This becomes really important. If you're working in, let's say, Ableton Live, which mainly works with stereo tracks, it's actually really hard to have a mono sound. They have plugins in Ableton that allow you to make things more mono or make things wider, right? And that's how you can actually get some depth happening within your mix. We can do that right inside this plugin, right? Right inside our KLI Series 3.0, we can make any component within any kit more wide, more mono, left, more right. That means I can get really in depth. But guess what else? I can take this piano and say, I'm going to turn on the SSL EQ for it, and I'm going to make it be a really pingy, bright piano. There we go. Turn that to bell. That's at about 1.6. And I'll go to the rest of the thing. And let's get some of this bottom end going. All right, I have a completely new piano sound, right? You notice I'm just playing the components. Each component on key, on its own. Let's play them all together for a second. Okay, so as I said, each component has its own set of effects that go with it. But then we also have a master effects rack. So on the send here, we have a whole several set of these effects, flanger, chorus, reverb, kind of standard, delay, and another convolution reverb. That's like you can send to it. You know, your effects rack, a master effects rack. Then we also have the master output effects. So once you have everything working the way you want, then we can say, hey, I want to EQ the whole thing, compress the whole thing, put a limiter on it, do what you want to do. We've now just touched the surface of what KLI 3.0 can do. I've literally just touched the surface. Let's go to something where it starts getting really cool. Let's just say that I don't want to just play the loops. Like I made an arrangement, but the arrangement's still based on this, right? Because that's the kit I loaded in. Well, I can go way further than that. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to put these two tracks and record. And instead of playing that loop, I'm just going to play components of that loop. So I'm going to make a drum kit. Okay, how did I do that? Take a look right here. I'm going to move this up. I can turn this loop into one shot, so it's going to play one shot. So now it's just a kick drum. I could load in a ton of those loops and say, hey, I've got 5 different kick drum sounds, 5 different snare sounds, 5 different hi-hat sounds, so on and so forth. Let me show you how this goes a step further. If I take it off of one shot, you heard the first sample, and you notice you're seeing that scroll through the whole loop, but you're not hearing the loop, right? Well, we've given you control over every single slice that the loop has. We can turn the volume up, the volume down for the whole thing, right? This is just a kick drum loop. Or I can turn just one slice up. So that's the only thing you're going to hear, right? So we're giving you the power to say, you know what, I don't want that loop. I want my own loop. I want to take slice 1, 9, and 18, or 3, 4, 5, and 6. Whatever you want to do, you can actually do that. What I did was I did the same thing with the snare, turned everything down except the snare I wanted. So let me just show you something. That demo I had, I'm going to play it where it goes from in the purple into the orange. The purple is me making an arrangement based on the loop that's there. The orange is me programming with the exact same kit. I didn't load anything in new. So take a listen from one to the next, and you're also going to hear how the tempo can change. And you can see here, this is programming. So what I did there was use the exact same kit and just played components that I wanted and made it a whole new thing, right? Now, let's look at something really cool. I'm going to close this down. I touched on the automation, so I'm going to show you a little bit more. You saw how I could just click on something and say, hey, I'll remove that. Click Control, it says Learn MIDI. I grab a knob, and, oh, hold on, I'm on the wrong track here. I grab a knob, and there you go. Now, I did this whole sequence on a M-Audio Keystation 88. Actually, one of the original ones, so a really old Keystation 88. You can see here, this is an Akai MPK. It doesn't matter. I can go right in and not know this keyboard. I'm going to control click, grab this fader. All of a sudden, I have right? All the cool things I can do with that. So I can mix actually hands-on. Really cool. Plus, I can record all that automation. Automation records just like any other audio or MIDI. You hit record, it records the information. You don't have to be a rocket scientist and go, I have no idea how to set up control changes, right? Or know what each one of these control changes are, because on every keyboard, I guarantee you, they are different. We have 127 control changes to choose from, and although the parameters still stay the same, how they map out on every keyboard is absolutely different. So instead of saying you need to learn all that, control click, I'm going to remove that, control click it, learn it, grab any old knob, there it is, control click, look here, I'm going to control click, learn, it's on a fader, we're done. right? Simple, easy, and whatever keyboards you have will definitely do that. Okay. Let's go down, and I'm going to open a whole new thing here under Quick, and I'm going to grab a whole new drum loop here. Okay? This is a series of drum loops. I'm going to make a new MIDI track right fast. There you go. Hey. There we go. One quick MIDI track. I'm going to tell it go to contact whatever, and this one, come down here, put this on Omni, so I know I won't have a problem controlling it. Okay, here we go. I'm going to put this track in record, and this is a loop that we have sliced, and we have libraries of these. It comes with that. Now, you can see it's playing, but each one is on a key. So I can play it. Okay. We have control keys down the bottom. If you look, hold on, I see you're not seeing that. Give me a second. Okay, down the bottom, you'll notice that in the blue means that if it's blue, there's a sample on that key, right? You can see me playing it. But in the bottom with the red and the yellow keys, they're control keys. This means I can play the loop forward. I can play the loop backwards. Okay? Simple stuff. But here's where this gets really cool. I can change the BPM to half speed. I can make it twice as fast. Very interesting. Now, easy mode, manual mode, and stutter. I'm going to talk about stutter because it's close to my heart, because we brought that out on a couple other synths that I had a hand in doing a few years ago, but now we've brought it into here. And what does stutter mode do? And I'll show you. It chops it up even shorter. It means I play with the decay time. If I go into manual mode, I have a whole lot greater control. Let me just go to decay, because something seems a little off here. All right, let me just change the decay sound. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's a little better. Okay. Now, let me show you something really neat. These parameters at the top here, we have volume, we have pitch, we have pan, attack, decay, something we call mashup, then cutoff and resonance. So these are parameters you can do, that you can do anything you want to this loop. You know what? I feel like that's not playing back correctly for me. I'm just going to load that loop in again, right fast. You can see it. Come in here. Great. Close that, open that up. Let's do that again. That's better. There we go. Okay. We have presets. There are 16 presets given on any one of these loops, meaning I can do something in preset 1, something in preset 2, so on and so forth, right? So in a quick key, I can turn around and say, I've got my drum sound the way I want with filters and attacks and the way it's panning and stuff, and that's my verse. I got another one that's going to be my pre-chorus. Another one's going to be my chorus, my bridge, my out. Okay? So I could sit here and say, I'm going to do some dramatic volume changes here. I'm going to go like this, and I'm going to go like that. I'm going to go here. I'll come back here. I'm going to go here to here. I'm going to go that really. So you'll notice. Right? Volume change. Now I'm going to look at this and say cutoff. Instead of me trying to come up with something, I'm going to go back to our edit page here. This edit page gives you all kinds of cool functions like repeat the first step you did or repeat the first 10 steps I just drew in. So I don't have to do this over and over and over again. Or I can just say, hey, randomize current step. So now I just randomize a cutoff filter. Right? Okay, that's preset 1. Preset 2, starts all over again, right? I'm going to go to mashup. What mashup is that allows us, or allows the computer really, to take over that loop and say, I'm going to play any slice in any order. And again, I'm going to go to my little edit screen here. I'm going to go randomize current steps. And then we have variations on that. So, let me go. There you go. Now it's playing that in any order, right? Or I can go back to 1. Right? Step further. Learn it, grab a knob. Here's preset 1, so I got preset 2. Okay, you have 16 areas available to you to do that. So you really can take that super far and go, okay, I can tailor-make my entire groove setup. Maybe it's just small nuances, or maybe they're dramatic. Whatever it is, you can do that, right? You can do that simple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load this in so I can blow out any automation I had. I'm going to play the demo again so you can hear what it is. If you just walked up, in that demo you're going to hear pristine tempo changes happening in real time, both jumping or gliding up. You're going to hear tuning changes. You're going to hear a multitude of all those individual effects. Okay, so I'll end with this. My name's Kenny Moran, and I do some of these demos for Big Fish. I'm an engineer first and foremost. I'm a mix engineer, so I've mixed a lot of records that you know and that you listen to. It's incredible. It sounds great. I'm not particularly a loop guy. I like to program a whole lot more, but when they sent this to me to learn and go through it, I was actually really surprised, and okay, I could actually really use this because I can do so much with each individual loop. I can make them my own. And that's always been my biggest thing about using a loop. Is it mine or is it not mine? You know, it may be in my production, but at this point, I can actually do something with it that I would really want to do, so it's powerful. Somebody asked me, there's no way all those effects are coming from this. There's a mix page. You've got contact and a click track. That's it. Everything you heard is in all the kits I loaded in one instant of contact. Not 6 contacts or 5, 1 instant of contact, okay? Thank you for coming to Big Fish. We have another demo coming right up. Thank you, everybody.